Do you remember how you pictured yourself when you were young? What you thought you'd do for work, the lifestyle you thought you'd live, even how you thought you'd look? When I was young, I always envisioned that by my mid-20s, I'd be this badass, well-traveled career woman with a lucrative job who was fit, always looked flawless, and lived an exciting city life. Basically, I thought I'd be the perfect fifth Sex and the City girl. In reality, I became a single teen mom at 17. Now, in my 30s, I'm forever exhausted and I look like this all the time. I've never had a job I've truly loved or that pays particularly well. None of my clothes fit, and I live in suburbia doing a whole lot more cooking and cleaning and chauffeuring than I'd imagined. I'll let you imagine just how exciting that is. I had one goal in my 20s. Finish college. Now, that may seem kind of basic to some of you guys, like this girl spent a whole decade of her life doing what's supposed to take 4 years. But here's the thing. First, I had a baby 2 days after my 17th birthday, and the SD ran away like the wildebeest that he was. Second, I come from an immigrant family. I was a first-generation university student, so navigating that whole world was a bit of a feat for me to do all alone while raising a child. And naturally, the universe sprinkled in a little bit of trauma in there just to keep things interesting. Now, my daughter is nearing her 18th birthday. I'm nearing my 35th. And what do I have to show for all these years? Exhaustion, for sure. I feel like over the last 5 years, I've aged way more than warranted. After 2 undergrad degrees and a master's, I still feel like I haven't forged a path in my career. I've essentially had 2 jobs since graduating from college, one in the mental health field and the other in education, both of which I didn't find fulfilling, and possibly worse, neither of which were very lucrative. So I quit both. Having reached this stage of my life, I've come to realize that my whole life I've made decisions based on others' opinions, taking them into consideration before myself, doing what's best for everyone else. Not only my daughter, of course, but my parents as well, and society at large, as many of us tend to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I managed to get my 2 undergrad degrees and then a master's, and I don't want to minimize my accomplishments. But at the same time, I'm one of those people who was fed that idea that if I went to college and finished, I would have a secure future. I'd be set. And that just hasn't been the case. Let me know if you relate. And sure, I've gotten positions I wouldn't have been able to get without the degrees, but positions that you basically have to adopt as your entire personality in order to succeed in. And the pay is not enough to really set you up for the future. You're expected to be content just helping people, but helping people sadly doesn't necessarily help you meet all your needs. So all this people pleasing has left me where? Well, not without anything. I do have a college education that I value. I made my parents proud and I live a life that I may not otherwise live without said education, but also one that's consumed by work and stress and very little fun. And now, after having quit these jobs and realizing that what I really want is to work for myself, I feel like my life has fallen apart a little bit. Like I'm back where I started, on the struggle bus. So I'm starting from scratch, degrees out the door. So what now? Now, I start again. I pick myself up, and just like I navigated things before, I do it again. But what if I do all that work again just to end up in the same position? Well, I think those are the risks you have to take in life. You can choose to do the sure thing. For me, that would have been to stay teaching, resent it, and let the years pass me by, eternally living for the weekend and ultimately for retirement. But that's not really a path that felt viable to me. If life equals struggle, I want to at least struggle for the pursuit of something I really want, not just what's deemed appropriate by others. Looking back, I can't say I would necessarily change things given the chance to. All of those experiences made me who I am, and after many years of struggling with accepting myself, I've come to the conclusion that I'm not so bad. After all these years, I've come to realize that it sucks so much energy from you to be someone you're not. For years, I tried to fit into molds that were never meant for me, chasing careers that didn't fulfill me, living up to others' expectations, and neglecting my own passions and ambitions. It's exhausting and unsustainable. When I became a mother, I would always overhear people make the comment, "She's a child raising a child." And it used to make my blood boil because I felt like I knew what I was doing. I was raised around children, so I knew how to care for them, how to feed them, bathe them, get them to sleep. So none of that felt like a big deal to me. But now, my daughter being the same age I was when I had her, I realized they were at least partially right. I was a child. I was a child who didn't get to finish being a child. I didn't have that time in life when you're old enough to make decisions for yourself, but still don't have a boatload of responsibility. And I know a lot of people who might hear this will automatically say, well, you made your choices, and sure, I did. But also there was a whole lot going on around me that influenced my decisions and mindset at the time. To me, being a teen parent almost seemed normal, no big thing. And so that became my life. And just like that, I was no longer the most important person in my life. When I first found out I was going to become a mother, I swore I wouldn't be one of those moms who would lose herself. And in many ways, I haven't. I prioritized going to school and achieving my degrees, making sure I didn't lose sight at least of my educational goals. But what I've learned since is that no one's immune to life's challenges. No matter how much we plan or strive, life has a way of throwing curveballs. And somewhere along the way, I did exactly what I said I wouldn't. I did lose myself. So here I am at 34 years old, trying to figure out what my next step is. Again. Not only as a general person, but as someone who became a mother at 17 years old and raised a child almost completely on her own. So I'm figuring out who I am at my core, beyond the roles of mother, daughter, and professional. It's a daunting, but also kind of exciting place to be. What I do know now is that I'm tired of running towards the next best thing all the time. As I'm starting over, I want to really work on grounding myself and figuring out what I really want so that I build a life that truly reflects who I am. So despite everything, I'm choosing to move forward and not let myself down, doing things that fill my cup. That's why I started this YouTube channel. It's something I'm doing just for me. A way to connect, share, and hopefully inspire others, creating a space where we can support each other, learn from one another, and grow together. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our narratives and define our paths, despite any challenges. I invite you to reflect on your own path. Are you living authentically, pursuing what truly fulfills you? Or are you living your life for someone else? As for me, I'm working on letting go of old narratives and limiting beliefs and looking toward new possibilities. So I ask you, which path will you choose?